প্রিয় দর্শক, এনটিভির নিয়মিত সাপ্তাহিক অনুষ্ঠান RMG পাস্ট, প্রেজেন্ট অ্যান্ড ফিউচারে আপনাদের সবাইকে সাদর আমন্ত্রণ। দিস প্রোগ্রাম ইজ প্রেজেন্টেড বাই বেস্ট সোর্সিং অ্যান্ড স্পন্সর্ড বাই ডাচ বাংলা ব্যাংক। বাংলাদেশের রেডিমেড গার্মেন্ট শিল্পের উপর আলোচনা করার জন্য আজ আমাদের সাথে উপস্থিত রয়েছেন বাংলাদেশ গার্মেন্ট ম্যানুফ্যাকচারার্স অ্যান্ড এক্সপোর্টার্স অ্যাসোসিয়েশন BGME এর সহসভাপতি মিস্টার শহীদুল্লাহ আজিম এবং সিনিয়র অ্যাডভাইজার টু অ্যালায়েন্স মিস্টার ইয়ান স্পল্ডিং। Mr. Azim, Mr. Yan, welcome to our program. My first question to you, Mr. Yan, that we like to know the overview of Alliance and the impact of it on the industry.
Sure. So thank you, and thank you for having us. I think, a lot of people understand the Alliance over the last 9 months, but it's a good opportunity for me to come to you directly and give you an update on the Alliance. So the Alliance was formed in July last year, and it was formed by 27 brands and retailers, primarily from North America. It includes companies such as Walmart and Gap and Vanity Fair, as well as Target and Kohl's. These American companies and Canadian companies and one Australian company came together because they wanted to actually figure out a way collaboratively they could improve the garment industry here in Bangladesh. They knew they needed to work with the government and a number of stakeholders, including the trade union community and other stakeholders here. They also knew they needed to work with the Accord in order to try and upgrade the industry. A lot of it happened following the development of the National Action Plan of the government. And so in the National Action Plan, the government called for support from external stakeholders, including foreign buyers. So these North American companies came together, formed the Alliance, and the Alliance is committed for 5 years to help the government by inspecting those factories that are producing for those North American brands. So there's approximately 640 factories that produce for these brands, and we've taken on the responsibility to inspect those factories, to work with those factories in order to remediate them, one factory at a time, one fire door at a time, in order to help these factories improve and improve the safety of the workers in the factory. It's not a quick project. It'll take some time to do, but the organization called the Alliance is committed to do it one step at a time over the next 5 years. Our hope in this process is that we're going to improve the factories, not only improve the safety, but build certain structures within factories to allow workers to be better educated in order to create helplines or mechanisms for workers to contact, whether it be the trade union, whether it be a worker participation committee, or in the absence of both of those, maybe even someone outside, it could be the government, in order to address concerns that maybe
the
management
issues
is
related
not,
to the industry,
or issues that the management is not actually addressing. So we have to all work together in order to address these issues, and I think the Alliance has come forward to commit to do that over the next 5 years.
Thanks, Mr. Yan. Mr. Azim, Alliance Accord আমরা রানা প্লাজার পর এটার কথা আমরা অনেক বেশি শুনছি। সো হোয়াট ইজ দ্য ইম্প্যাক্ট এই ইন্ডাস্ট্রিতে, এর ইম্প্যাক্টটা কি?
এই অ্যাকর্ড অ্যালায়েন্স যেটা আমাদের আন্তর্জাতিক এবং দেশীয় অনেকগুলো উদ্যোগ নেওয়া হয়েছে রানা প্লাজার পরে, তাদের প্রথম কাজটাই ছিল যে আমাদের দেশে ঝুঁকিপূর্ণ ফ্যাক্টরিগুলো থেকে এবং শ্রমিকদের নিরাপত্তার জন্য, কর্মস্থলের নিরাপত্তার জন্য সবাই কাজ করছে, এবং এই জন্য অ্যালায়েন্স ইজ ওয়ান অফ দেম। দে রিপ্রেজেন্ট দ্য নর্থ আমেরিকান ব্র্যান্ড যতগুলো আছে সেগুলো ওরা রিপ্রেজেন্ট করে, এবং ইতিমধ্যে আমাদের অ্যালায়েন্স প্রায় 525টা ফ্যাক্টরি ইন্সপেক্ট করেছে। তার মধ্যে আমাদের মাত্র 3টা ফ্যাক্টরি যেখানে ঝুঁকিপূর্ণ পাওয়া গেছে। তবে অ্যালায়েন্স যে কাজটা করছিল, অ্যাকর্ড হয়তো বা রানা প্লাজা পরে এসে ধরেছে, অ্যালায়েন্সে আবার ব্র্যান্ড কাস্টমার যারা ছিল তারা কিন্তু অডিটটা এখনকার নতুন কিছু না, তারা বেশ কয়েক বছর ধরে অডিটটা করছে। অ্যালায়েন্সের ফ্যাক্টরি যেগুলো আছে আগে থেকে প্রস্তুত, ফ্যাক্টরি স্ট্রাকচারালি এবং ফায়ার সেফটি এবং ইলেকট্রিক সেফটির ব্যাপারে তারা অবগত আছে। তো অ্যালায়েন্স আসার পরে এই উদ্যোগটা আমাদের জন্য আরেকটু ত্বরান্বিত হচ্ছে। আমরা চেষ্টা করছি ফ্যাক্টরিগুলো কীভাবে সব সেফ থাকে, এবং আমাদের সবারই কিন্তু উদ্দেশ্য কিন্তু একটাই, যে আমাদের শ্রমিকদের নিরাপত্তা এবং কর্মস্থলের নিরাপত্তা দেওয়া।
Thank you, Mr. Azim. Mr. Yan, give us an update on the inspection program. He was mentioning that only 3 factories you found fault. We'd like to know more about it.
Sure. So we have 630 factories, as I mentioned. Of those, we've inspected about 500. So we will inspect the remaining 130 in the next 2 months. So by July 10th, all factories will be inspected for the Alliance. Of the inspections, every single factory has some issues they need to remediate. Some of them are quite minor in nature, but there are some that actually have some pretty serious issues that do need to remediate. There have been issues where we found some structural issues that warrant raising the issue to the government in order for further investigation. But the majority of factories don't have those issues. I would say that when you look at a typical factory in Bangladesh, there are issues that require remediation, such as installing fire doors, improving fire suppression equipment, trying to ensure that the egress routes are adequate, that there's the appropriate electrical wiring in the factory, as well as basic fire training. So these things we've identified during the inspection process, and we're working with each factory to try and remediate it. What I would ask many of the factory entrepreneurs to consider is that in order for this industry to survive and to thrive in the future, we have to be willing to make investments to modernize these factories, to ensure that workers' lives are protected, but also that we continue to protect businesses.
Absolutely.
Because if we do not do that, these factories will ultimately lose business and they won't be able to survive and compete with other factories around the world.
We need a break at this stage of our program. প্রিয় দর্শক, আমরা আমাদের একটি ছোট্ট বিরতি নেওয়ার সময় হয়ে গেল। আমাদের সঙ্গে থাকুন প্লিজ। বিরতির পর আবার সবাইকে সাদর আমন্ত্রণ আমাদের অনুষ্ঠানে। আমরা কথা বলছি বিজিএমের সহসভাপতি মিস্টার শহীদুল্লাহ আজিম এবং অ্যালায়েন্সের সিনিয়র অ্যাডভাইজার মিস্টার ইয়ান স্প্রিংয়ের সঙ্গে। মিস্টার ইয়ান, are you providing compensation to those factories workers who are affected or displaced? Is my number one question. And then, do you have any training program for them to the skill development and upgradation of these workers?
Sure. So I'm glad you asked the question. I would say, look, we don't want to shut down any factory. And fundamentally, the Alliance doesn't have the authority to shut down or cease production in any factory. It really is a government decision. But where a factory is closed down because of a government action, or where any of our inspections reveal issues that require remediation where there's a temporary suspension of production, the Alliance has committed to pay compensation to those workers who are negatively impacted or displaced. And we're splitting the compensation 50% with the factory owner for up to 2 months. And we've done that in a few instances already. In fact, one instance where we did it 2 weeks ago in Chittagong, we compensated the workers for 1 month's salary. We actually have followed up with those workers, called them to find out if they actually have a job, if they've actually are unemployed. What we found is that 96% of the workers actually have found another job. They were offered a job with the same factory owner, or they found a job in another factory. So not only did we provide compensation, we're trying to ensure that they get another job somewhere else. Training, look, one of the things that happened with Rana as well as with Tazreen was management didn't do the right thing. Management, security guards, they ultimately gave bad advice, bad direction to workers, and they either kept them in that factory or they encouraged them to go into that factory. We have to change the behavior of management, of supervisors, of security guards, and of workers in general. That has to be done through training. We did at the very beginning of the Alliance, we did a comprehensive survey, 3,000 workers we talked to, and what we learned, workers who'd been trained and workers who hadn't been trained, their knowledge about fire safety was similar. So it showed the ineffectiveness of some of the training that's going on today. So to counter that, the Alliance has invested a fair bit of resources to try and improve training of workers. So far, we've trained more than 440,000 workers in the 640 factories that we're sourcing from. We have a lot more workers to train, and just because we train them once doesn't mean we stop training. It's an ongoing process that we need to do in order to improve the knowledge, but change the behavior more importantly.
থ্যাংক ইউ মিস্টার আজিম। ট্রেনিংয়ের ব্যাপারে হচ্ছে আইএলও এবং ট্রাইপার্টিট গভর্নমেন্ট উদ্যোগ নিয়েছে, ইনিশিয়েটিভ নিয়েছে, অ্যালায়েন্স হেল্প করছে, অ্যাকর্ডও করছে। বিজিএমএ কীভাবে এই জিনিসগুলোকে পর্যবেক্ষণ করছে?
ট্রেনিংয়ের ব্যাপারে আপনাকে বলি, আমরা 35 জন ট্রেনার নিয়েছি যারা আর্ম ফোর্সের প্রাক্তন সদস্য,
রিটায়ার্ড
এবং আমাদের টার্গেট হচ্ছে আমাদের 3600 অপারেটিভ ফ্যাক্টরিতে প্রত্যেকটা ফ্যাক্টরি 10 জন করে আমরা 36,000 লোকে ট্রেনিং দিব। ইন মিন টাইম আমরা প্রায় 17,500 লোকে ট্রেনিং দিয়েছি। এটা অনগোয়িং প্রসেস, চলতে থাকবে। বাট আই হ্যাভ কোয়েশ্চেন ফর ইয়ান that about the compensation. You told that you are paying 1 month salary out of 2 months. We must appreciate your initiative, but in some cases for some specific factory it will take 4 months instead of 2 months. So in that case, will you pay the 50% for 2 months?
Look, most of the cases that we've come in contact with, if it's 4 months remediation, it doesn't mean the factory is shut down for 4 months.
4 months.
That they can still operate in that time period. And so there's not a closure where workers are displaced for 4 months.
It means a temporary
It's
closure.
a temporary closure. It could be a few weeks, it could be a month or two, but we have not found one case where the factory is closed for more than a month or two.
And my second question was that you told 96% workers already got their job. But the factory you are training, they have another factory in EPZ.
Right.
That is why they may relocate the workers to the factory. But it is not all the
All
factories.
factories.
Right.
If say I have one factory, I'm going to stop my factory. So what I'll do with my 2,000-3,000 workers? So in that case, how you'll come forward to help the workers?
It's a very important question. Look, nobody wants to displace any worker, actually. So our number one job is to work with the factory owner, work with the brand to ensure that there's continuity of business, to ensure that the factory can improve and remediate. Now, in the rare case, and you said it yourself, that we're only talking a few cases where there's actually a closure. In the rare case, we have come forward and we've provided compensation. Nobody else has done that. So let's just be clear. Nobody else has provided compensation.
That's true. That's
we
true.
did that, okay?
That's true.
And we did that in order to share our responsibility to contribute to this. Now, what happens in a scenario where it's more or less? Well, we haven't found those scenarios. There are other initiatives that have. We'll consider them on a case-by-case basis as we come along, as we come across them.
I have a question on a different aspect. Like trade union is a very sensitive issue. The government and the owners and the people in general, because we have some experiences. Is the alliance working with the trade union members in Bangladesh? What is the relation?
Absolutely. We work with 7 different trade unions in Bangladesh, actually. These are the national trade unions. They're part of a committee of the board, and they're very active. In fact, we're meeting with all 7 of them tomorrow in our offices. We not only engage these 7, we're engaging a number of labor groups outside of the 7 throughout Bangladesh. So I would say one of the things we do in every inspection that we do where there's a trade union, we're doing outreach to that trade union to work with them, to involve them in the inspection process. In all the training work that we do, we are working with the local trade union at the factory if it exists. But out of the 630 factories that we work with, there's 14 trade unions. That's all.
Thank you. Mr. Azim, ট্রেড ইউনিয়নের ব্যাপারে আপনাদের অবস্থানটা কি?
ট্রেড ইউনিয়নে
অ্যালায়েন্স কিভাবে কাজ করছে?
ট্রেড ইউনিয়নে আমাদের ব্যাপারে কোনো আপত্তি নেই, বাট I want to share here with you because the problem is that which we are facing, the entrepreneur are facing, the trade union leaders teaching their laborers only about their rights, not the responsibility. It has to go simultaneously because otherwise we have the conflict on that issue. We had bitter experience in our country earlier, so I don't want to repeat the same which he also know. So the thing is that we must teach them the right and the responsibility together. If the things go in the right way, so we don't have any problem for the trade union. Because we'll welcome, now still we welcome the trade union. But things are that we have to make the awareness for both workers and the entrepreneurs.
We need another break at this stage. প্রিয় দর্শক, আমাদের আবার একটা বিরতি নেওয়ার সময় হলো। আমাদের সঙ্গে থাকুন প্লিজ। বিরতির পর সবাইকে আবার সাদর আমন্ত্রণ আমাদের অনুষ্ঠানে।
Could I ask Azim a question about the trade union movement in Bangladesh?
Go ahead.
Sure.
Yeah.
So Azim, you know, some of our members, they work with factories where there are rumors where some factory owners have terminated trade union leaders within those factories. And obviously some of our members are very upset when this happens. So could you just tell us a little bit about what the BGMEA is doing to try and ensure this doesn't happen, that trade union leaders are protected?
Thank you, Ian. The thing is that it was misinterpretation because last 12 years there was only 38 trade unions. And now for 1 year we made 146 trade unions for only 1 year. So things are moving very positive way. If somebody is complaining to you about the termination of the worker leaders, it might be in a spirited way for 1-2 factories like that. But we are trying to make understand all our entrepreneurs that we have to go for trade union, that it should be the constructive one, not the destructive one. And we'll welcome the trade union. But what I told you, the leaders should know they have the responsibility as well, not only the right. So if they teach the right way to the people, so I think it's not a problem at all. And we are moving in a very positive way.
Have Alliance members supported ILO initiative, the fund, trust fund for Rana Plaza victims?
So of the 27 brands that we work with, about 5 of them have come forward and contributed to the ILO Trust Fund. We've raised more than $5.5 million to contribute to the trust fund, as well as to victims of Tazreen. And we're holding in reserve through BROC in order for potential other victims of other tragedies within Bangladesh. So the ILO Trust Fund has received more than $2.2 million from Alliance members. And I'm sure that more of them will contribute, and we're encouraging our members to continue to contribute to the trust fund.
Thank you. মিস্টার আজিম, আমাদের গার্মেন্টসের সেক্টর সম্বন্ধে এখন একটি অভিযোগ শোনা যায় যে কম্পেনসেশন প্যাকেজ রানা প্লাজার ব্যাপারে আমরা এটা অনেকবার শুনেছি, আমাদের বিদেশি ক্রেতারা দিচ্ছে। বিজিএমই কি এই যে সমস্ত প্রতিশ্রুতি দেওয়া হয়েছিল সেগুলো কি রাখতে পেরেছে?
আমার মনে হয় বিজিএমই যে প্রতিশ্রুতি দেওয়া হয়েছিল, প্রতিশ্রুতির আমরা কাজ করেছি সত্যিকার কথা। আমি কারোর কথা বলেই কাজ করিনি। আমরা ফ্রম দ্য ডে 1 থেকে আমরা কাজ করেছি এবং এ পর্যন্ত আমরা প্রায় $2 বিলিয়ন মতো আমরা ওয়ার্কের মাধ্যমে দিয়েছি বিভিন্ন ফর্মে। আর আমি কি ইয়ান একটা প্রশ্ন করতে পারি? Ian, while I was in Washington before forming that alliance, on 7 July I had a meeting with the alliance board. So in that meeting the brand told me they are raising fund about $100 billion so far for the remediation plan, remediation program. But so far none of our factory has received any fund from alliance, neither alliance nor accord. So it is widely published in the newspaper.
Yes.
Sure. We are very embarrassing situation to our entrepreneurs while they are asking us how we'll go for remediation. We can reply them. So can you reply me whatever the fund about the $100 billion?
Absolutely, and this is where I need your help as well. So first off, the Alliance individual members have actually committed to contribute $100 million in low-cost loans for low-cost capital for remediation. Walmart, Gap, Li & Fung, Vanity Fair, and a few others have set up these funds. Now, what we're finding is that factories that they talk to about these funds actually are saying they don't need the money. So they're looking at remediation costs of approximately $200,000 or $300,000, and they're able to actually pay for that through their operating costs. Now, there are smaller enterprises who will probably need access to that funding, and those have been found in the inspection process later in our process. So we suspect that the applications for those loans will come in the months to come, not in the previous 6 months. That being said, it's also taken some time to build up the mechanisms by which to offer these loans. So this is not a quick process. And we found that many entrepreneurs have also found loans available in the local market at similar rates. So something we didn't anticipate. Sometimes I think entrepreneurs probably don't want to take out a loan from their bank.
I don't think so.
No.
So because a lot of entrepreneurs are coming to us about the remediation plan, they want to make everything as per the requirement. Something like sprinkler, fire door, they want to make it. But you know, in our country, the interest rate is too high. It's about 16 to 18%. They cannot afford it. So what we did, I asked to Alliance also before, so we don't want any donation. We need some loan on the low interest or no interest. So if we can provide, because they're not coming to us, they're coming to BGME always. They're knocking us every moment.
Yeah.
What can the Bangladesh government do more to improve factory safety and the entrepreneurs? What is your opinion?
Well, look, this process is not a quick process. The National Action Plan that was put together by the government with the employers and the trade union community is an ambitious plan. There's some efforts that the government has already done, and we certainly applaud them, but there's so much more that needs to be done. Exactly. We need to see more inspectors. We need to see that the approximately 2,000 factories that are not part of the alliance or not part of the accord, we need to get those inspected by the government. We also need to see the inspection reports publicized as the government has made a commitment to do so. And we need to ensure that the government continues to work with those factories to remediate. And I think most of the foreign governments who are working with the Bangladesh government are also encouraging the government to take these steps, these commitments that they've made, to honor them and to ensure that they're supporting the modernization of the garment industry. Now, I don't want to suggest they're not doing it. The government has done tremendous work, and we applaud them for that. But there's more work that needs to be done, and we want them to work a little bit faster on these issues to help ensure these factories get remediated faster.
Thank you. Mr. Azim, আপনার কাছে আমার শেষ প্রশ্ন, অ্যাকর্ড অ্যালায়েন্স এবং এই যে বিভিন্ন ইনিশিয়েটিভ নেওয়া হচ্ছে, এর ফলে বাংলাদেশের গার্মেন্টস শিল্পের সেফটি অ্যান্ড সিকিউরিটির কনটেক্সটে ভবিষ্যৎ আপনি ফিউচার কীভাবে দেখছেন?
আপনাকে আমি বলি যে অ্যালায়েন্স তাদের ইন্সপেকশন শেষ করবে 10 জুলাই, অ্যাকর্ড করবে সেপ্টেম্বর মাসে, এবং বাকি যেগুলো ফ্যাক্টরি থাকবে আমাদের ন্যাশনাল অ্যাকশন প্ল্যান যেটা বুয়েট করছে, এবছর সমস্ত ফ্যাক্টরি ইন্সপেকশন শেষ হয়ে যাবে। শেষ হয়ে গেলে আমার মনে হয় যখন ইন্ডাস্ট্রিটা ক্লিন হবে, এই জিনিসটা কিন্তু আমরাই উপভোগ করতে পারবো। হয়তো সাময়িকভাবে অনেকগুলো ফ্যাক্টরি বন্ধ হবে, অনেকগুলো অসুবিধা হবে, অনেকগুলো ফায়ার ডোর লাগাতে হবে, কস্ট বেড়ে যাবে, বাট অ্যাট দ্য এন্ড অফ দ্য ডে আমার মনে হয় যে ইন্ডাস্ট্রি ক্লিন হয়ে গেলে বাইরে কনফিডেন্স যদি বাড়ে যে না ফ্যাক্টরি আর সেফ, we can move to Bangladesh, we can move all water to Bangladesh. That is our intention.
কনফিডেন্স বাড়বে।
Exactly, তাদের ইমেজটা আমরা ফেরত নিয়ে আসতে চাই। এবং in meantime we are going in a very positive way. I cannot tell that we did everything so far, but we need to more thing to do. I hope we can overcome all the problems.
Thank you, Mr. Yan and Mr. Azim to participate in our program.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
আমাদের অনুষ্ঠানের এই পর্যায়ে আমরা একটি বাংলাদেশি মালিকানাধীন গার্মেন্টস ফ্যাক্টরি দেখতে চাই।
সমস্ত দর্শক যারা এই অনুষ্ঠান দেখছেন তাদেরকে আমি শুভেচ্ছা জানাচ্ছি পেট্রিয়ট গ্রুপের পক্ষ থেকে। I have started this business in 1994 in this premises. Initially I have started business with a small number of machineries. So gradually, for the requirement of the buyers, I have started increasing the machines. I have developed this building also. My factory is fully compliant factory. It has got 8-story building. It has got separate, generator room. It has got water reservoir as per the requirement of the compliance. It has got child care room. It has got dining space for the workers. It has got canteen. Overall, it is a compliant factory. What are the important things required for the compliance? We have everything here. My factory is covering all the security and fire safety service systems. All the stairs have every emergency exits, lightings, all other requirements of the fire and security measures. We have everything.
আমরা কোম্পানির মেইন পলিসি আমাদের ম্যানুয়াল যেটা আছে, ফার্স্ট আমরা কোয়ালিটি দেখি, অন টাইম ডেলিভারি এবং প্রাইস। আমাদের প্রাইস কম্পিটিটিভ। আমরা যেসব ডাইরেক্ট ভেন্ডর, যেসব বায়ার ভেন্ডর, আমরা পৃথিবীর অন্য দেশের সাথে কম্পিট করে অর্ডার নিয়ে থাকি। আমরা সার্টিফিকেট এই পর্যন্ত যে সমস্ত বায়ারের কাজ করি তাদের সার্টিফিকেটগুলো তারা কমপ্লায়েন্স নিজস্ব টিম দিয়ে এবং তাদের কমপ্লায়েন্স টিম দিয়ে থার্ড পার্টি বুরুবেটাস, SGS, ITS দিয়ে তারা ইন্সপেকশন করায় আমাদের সার্টিফিকেটটা দিয়েছে যে দিস ইজ কমপ্লায়েন্স ফ্যাক্টরি।
এই কোম্পানিতে আমি 13 বছর ধরে কাজকর্ম করি। এই কোম্পানি আমাদের অনেক সুযোগ সুবিধা দেয়। ফায়ার সেফটির অফিসার আছে, আমরা মাসে একবার করে ফায়ার ডিল দেই।
7 তারিখে বেতন ওভার টাইম পুরাপুরি দেওয়া দেয়, ছুটির টাকা পাই, বছরে বোনাস দেয়, ঈদ বোনাস দেয়, সব কিছুই আমরা একবারে ঠিক মতে পাই।
আমাদের এখানে মেডিকেল সেন্টার আছে, কেউ কোনো অসুস্থতা হলে সঙ্গে সঙ্গে তারে মেডিকেলে নিয়ে যায়, সেখানে আমাদের ডাক্তার আছে, সেখানে ডাক্তারের চিকিৎসা করে এবং সেখানে যদি না হয় তারপরে আমাদের মালিকপক্ষ আছে, মালিকপক্ষ তাদের আরও ভালো কোনো মেডিকেলে যাওয়ার সুযোগ সুবিধা দেয়।
আমাদের কোনো সমস্যা হলে আমাদের এই অফিসে একজন কমপ্লায়েন্সে ম্যাডাম আছে, লিলি ম্যাডাম, তার কাছে আমরা সমস্যা বলি, তিনি আমাদের সব সমস্যার সমাধান করে দেন।
প্রয়োজন হলে আমরা আমাদের মালিকের সঙ্গে আমরা কথা বলি, যোগাযোগ করি।
After the Rana Plaza disaster, scenario has been totally changed. Every week we are facing audit by each and every buyers. Though Accord and Alliance are doing their audit individually, my factory has already been inspected by the Alliance and it has been passed. As the owner of this group, I feel that workers are the asset of the company. We have a very good relationship with the workers. Every month I make a meeting with the workers. I want to know their problem. I share my problem with also them. I educated them how to develop the quality, how to maintain everything for the better shipment. So our workers are very much happy on us. I consider them as my family members.
প্রিয় দর্শক, আমরা আমাদের অনুষ্ঠান শেষ করব, কিন্তু আপনারা যারা এই অনুষ্ঠানটি আবার দেখতে চান কিংবা আমাদের আগের কোনো এপিসোড দেখতে চান, তারা দয়া করে লগ করুন www.bestsourcing.biz। আপনাদের সবাইকে অসংখ্য ধন্যবাদ আমাদের অনুষ্ঠান দেখার জন্য।